Well, welcome back everybody. Sorry it's been a few weeks since the last episode, but I had to have a bit of time off from the YouTube. If you're not in the right mindset, then there's no point dishing out any old guff just to get one video out once a week. So in today's episode we're going to be talking about the Michelin Pilot Road 5s. So if you're interested in what I think about them tyres, then stay tuned. I'll catch you after this. So I know a lot of you have been waiting for this video, and to be honest I was a bit skeptical about doing it because I believe that tyre opinions videos, it's a personal thing. I get kind of frustrated with all the questions you see online about what's the best tyre and this and this. It gets all very long-winded, and we're all different shapes and sizes, weights. We all have different bikes and riding styles, so what works for one not necessarily works for the other. So it's a kind of personal thing, but because Michelin sent me a set of Road 5s for sort of review, just to give my sort of feedback to my subscriber based on what I think about them, I feel I sort of owe it to them to produce a video on it. Now I do have to mention that this is my second set of Pilot Road 5s. The first set I had I actually paid for myself, but I wanted to get the full use out of the tyre. So from start to finish, from when they died, I wanted to get all kinds of riding in on that set of video, or on that set of tyres. So from summer riding, winter riding, tours, even a track day, wet riding. So I wanted to test the tyre completely before I sort of give my 5 pence worth on it. So that is what I've done, and I've now slapped the new set on the bike. So I think it's time now to give you my sort of opinion on what I think of the tyres. Now I should also say before we go any further, Michelin Road 5s are a sport touring tyre. I appreciate that there are other sports tyres on the market that people may say, oh, that has way better grip. I appreciate that. Now this is a sport touring tyre, a tyre that you can use throughout the entire season, a tyre that you can do a bit of everything on. And what I have done with the tyre, I've done everything with this tyre. Now I've used a number of sports touring tyres, from Pirelli Angels, Bridgestone T21s, Michelin Road Techs. I've used a lot of tyres that I've actually that actually came stock on bikes, but subsequently I've always gone back to Michelin. Now with the Road 5 being new to last year, but I've had many sets of Pilot Road 4s and Road 3s, and it's a tyre that I've always gone back to. Now from the Pirelli Angel GTs to the Bridgestone T21s, they were all toast at 5,000 to 6,000 kilometers, and I think the Metzlers, they went on a bit longer. I was kind of happy enough with the grip, but never really that confident with them all. And for me, changing a tyre after 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers when you're a sort of a tourer and you ride all year round, for me that's not enough. So what I got out of the first set of Road 5s was over 13,000 kilometers on them. Now because I did a track day on those tyres towards the end of their life, I reckon you could stretch that tyre to 15,000 kilometers. I did a whole day on the track, so 5 sessions of rinse, and I really rinsed that tyre. So I reckon without a track day involved, you could quite happily ride this tyre for 15,000 kilometers before you have to change it. Now this tyre is at the top end of price. It's an expensive tyre. The first set I paid, I think it was over 300 euros for front and rear, so it's definitely on that high end of the scale. But when you think about it, if you pay less for a tyre, for example the Pirelli GT or the T21s, yes, they're much cheaper. But when you're thinking about it, you're going to need 2 sets of them. Where am I going? You're going to need 2 sets of those, so subsequently you're going to be spending more money on a sports touring tyre that doesn't even last half as long. I'm not sure where the hell I'm going here. Let's roll with it. Let's not, that's somebody's house. I meant to turn left one junction before. Hold that thought. 57-point turn, Austin Powers style. So where was I before I went off track? Yeah, so you're going to need 2 sets of any other sport touring tyre, which these outlive by more than double, so it's kind of cheaper in the long run to spend that extra money for the Road 5s. Now, as I said, last year was the first set of Road 5s that I put on, and I started off just within the season just with a few rides out. I then went out on my European tour where I did 4,500 kilometers on those tyres, and I took them through every condition. Now, in the dry, they give phenomenal grip. I never had an issue at all, and I did push the bike a lot, and they're so confidence inspiring. I've never had a tyre like these, and I said I've always gone back to these. Whatever tyre I've had stock on a bike, I've used them, but I've never gelled with them. But with these Pilot Road 5s, I can really push it. And what's amazing about this tyre is that they've improved the wet grip on these phenomenal. Now, this is a tyre that you can even push in the wet. It gives you that much confidence that you can rinse it, you can lean the bike over, you can be hard on the gas, hard on the brakes, and I never had one issue. And I had many tours away, or especially with Motor Advire when I went on a few weekends away, where it absolutely pissed it down. And we're talking normally aquaplaning. The roads were completely shiny, and we were still pushing. I was still pushing the bike, and I had so much confidence to ride on the tyre that I never felt that I could get to the limit of the tyre. Now, to be honest, all modern day tyres, I feel, I mean, I would say I'm an intermediate rider. I'm not an advanced rider, but I'm certainly not a novice. I can get a bit of a lick on. But I think with any modern day tyre, the average road rider cannot find the limits of a road tyre, in my opinion. And this is a tyre, as I said, you really can push in the wet, in the pissing rain. You can give this tyre full pasty and be comfortable that you're not going to bin it and stack it in the hedge. Now, how they've improved their wet grip on this tyre, obviously there's the Michelin pilots and the Road 5s are renowned for the amount of slits and ciphers that are in the tyre. Now, what they've done on the Road 5s is they've made the slits, they get larger as the tyre wears. Now, predominantly on a tyre, as the tyre wears out, you get less wet grip because the ciphers and the slits become smaller. You lose the rubber, slits become smaller, and you lose wet performance. But they've cut the slits out and the ciphers on this tyre, that actually, as the tyre wears, the ciphers and the slits increase their size, so they get bigger. So you actually, rather than losing wet performance or even keeping at the same amount of performance, you actually gain wet performance as the tyre wears. It's a really sort of ingenious thing. It's not something I've ever seen on any other tyre. So throughout the year I was rinsing the miles on them, and then decided to take them on a track day. Now, I was on about 12,000 kilometers on the tyres when I decided to go on track. As I said, a whole day on the track, 5 sessions of really giving it full pasty, and it took me to sort of over, I think it was about 13,400 kilometers, I'm guessing, but it was over 13,000. So I said, if you're not a track rider and you're just into your touring riding, then I probably rinse quite a bit of the tyre on the track. So as I said before, I think you could quite happily get these tyres to 15,000 kilometers. Depends on how you ride, how aggressive. If you're just poorly munching motorway miles, then you're going to flatten out the tyre like you would do any other. But that's the good thing about the tyre, is in the middle on the power band is a harder compound, and on the softer, or on the shoulder of the tyre, you've got a softer sort of medium compound. So when you're in the twisties, it kind of, the average tyre wear is kind of the same. It wears out throughout the tyre pretty decent for the riding I do. I do a lot of twisty riding as well, so the tyre wear from the shoulder, I think I had 1.7 millimeters on the shoulder to the power band, which was 1.6, so a fairly normal tyre wear throughout because of the soft compound on the shoulder. Now, how they've increased the dry grip with the tyre is that on the shoulder there's actually a lot less slits and ciphers on there, so it's kind of near on slick. On the side of the tyre, you've got a good 1.5 inches where there's only one slit, only one cipher every sort of 9 inches or so. Now, with the theory behind it, if you're riding in the rain, you're not going to be leaning your bike over more than 30 degrees of lean angle. So on the tyre, on the shoulder of the tyre, you've got a near-on slick. So in the summer months, in the dry weather, you can really crank the bike over, and you've got phenomenal dry grip. So what else is there to say about them? I mean, to be honest, I've been so happy with them, and it's a tyre that I've always gone back to, as I've said many times, and it's a tyre I'll probably now stay with. With a tyre that you can do what you want with, where it's so confidence inspiring in the dry and in the wet, where you can tour on it for thousands of kilometers. You can even do a track day on them confidently without having to worry about oh, I've not got a sticky enough tyre to do this track day. It handled it perfectly, and it was, to be honest, it was towards the end of its life, and it still gave me phenomenal grip, and I had confidence throughout the entire day. Never had one issue where I lost the front or the back end slipped out. Obviously on this bike I'm saved by the plethora of electronics that this bike has on it to keep you upright and not in the friggin' hedge. But it's a tyre that I've loved, and I've not had one tyre other than this, not one like it, where I've had that much confidence in the wet. So actually push. Normally, you know, when it rains, we kind of tend to creep about a bit, and we tend to, you know, take it steady. We don't want to be losing the front and sliding off down the road. I actually pushed this bike in the wet, and I've never had that on any other tyres I've had, and I've had a lot of tyres. Now, as I said before, I've only ever had sport touring tyres. There's no point in me sticking a sports tyre on this bike, because 2,000, 3,000 kilometers is just not enough, and I can't be arsed changing my tyres 4 times, 5 times in a season just to get that extra bit of stickiness, where probably a sports tyre is probably out of my skill level. As I said, to find the limits of any road tyre for the average sport, or for the average rider, it just ain't going to happen. So as the light is now fading, I'm actually exhausting this video. That is just my sort of opinion on the tyre. Hopefully I've included enough information for you guys to sort of make up your mind. If you are interested in giving this tyre a shout, then be sure to fire over to Michelin or your local tyre dealership, or wherever you buy your tyres. Everywhere is going to stock this tyre. As I said, it is on the expensive line, or higher end of the scale, but as I said, in the long run it's actually cheaper to buy one set of this tyre, or these tyres, than to buy more sets of any other sports tourer tyre, when they're going to run out well before the life of the pilot roads or the road 5s. I'm jabbering. I've been Sean. You've been brilliant. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave me a like and a comment down below, or leave me a dislike if you thought it was absolute toss. But if you thought it was toss, then leave me a comment below and tell me what you didn't like about the video, so I can improve the content later on. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done already, and click that bell icon next to the subscribe button to make sure you are notified every time I upload a video. Massive thank you to the clan over on the Patreon page for continuing to support the channel, for making it easier for me to produce more content, better content, so you guys are happy in the comfort of your own homes watching my vids. And I'll catch you next time. Ride safe. See you in the next one. Peace out.